in Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, we'll match up to a $200 deposit bonus. Use the promo code Big A. Today we are offering a 1,000,000-point hit and is it a point split or is it a bonus? Oh, no, that's Sunday. That's Don't we have something for an early pick 4 today, Steve? There we go. Oh, a 20% winner's bonus on the early pick 4 races 2 through 5 through the app only. That is new. I will be playing that through the app only. 20% winner's bonus. Looking forward to that. There's also a handicapping contest for Gotham weekend. We'll get that slate up for you, if not later today, tomorrow. We've been showing it, but head over to Naira Bets. I'm Naira.com and get more information on the betting challenge for Gotham Day. It's a $500 buy-in. How are you?
I'm good.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Good. Let's talk about today's first race. Today's first race includes a couple of Todd Pletcher horses coming out of the same race. A lot of people, including yourself, like the number 2, Wear My Ring. Obviously, I won't be shocked if that horse wins. I've got her second in here. I just thought Micro Million actually ran okay. He was kind of closer to the pace in the race. The race did fall apart. And she ran in spots. I thought she did much more running. I'm not a huge fan of either one, but I really didn't see a lot of running from Wear My Ring. At a mile and 1/8, one of them is supposed to win, and I would assume that Jose Lezcano will be aggressive with Micro Million, and she could be the speed unless somehow Wear My Ring is a different horse and has more speed today.
Well, after the stumble at the break last time, I think the jury might still be out on Wear My Ring, right? The fact that Kendra Carmouche was aboard.
I didn't think it was that significant a stumble.
All right. I thought it was enough, especially for the debut, where
it was really a bobble. It really wasn't a stumble.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really a bobble, and I suggest that people, before they bet this horse based on the stumble in the paper, take a look at the head-on, actually watch the race and see, because this horse was not severely compromised by some problem at the start, at least in my opinion.
I thought she was compromised enough to give her one more chance. I mean, and I understand the attraction to Micro Million. She was first off the 6 or 7 month break last time, stretched out to the mile, and like you said, she was a lot closer to the pace. There's really no speed in this race.
You realize there was no stumble at all. That's a real misconception. I wish I had brought it up. Had I known it would be something that would get discussed here, I would have brought the head-on up of this just so people could see there was no problem at the start. Now, that's not to say that she can't run better and win today, but I'm telling you.
You don't think she was compromised at all at the start?
Not in the least.
Wow. Okay.
Not in the least. I don't think she was.
Okay.
And I think it's worth people looking at it. I'm not saying she can't win. I'm saying I don't see anything at the start, and I think other people will agree with that if they take a fine-tooth comb to it. What about I'm Fine? I mean, is she so impossible in
She's
here?
the only other horse I think you could make any kind of case for in here, right? I mean, the problem is, and I don't mean to pick on the guy because he's a friend, but Jeremiah's barn is just not going good right now.
He's a friend too. He's a bad trainer, and I think that's what you're really hinting at. Kidding. I'm kidding. Well,
he ran this horse.
I don't know. He's run for 33. Maybe I'm not.
Brendan Walsh ran this horse.
I went to Oaklawn. I can give him as hard a time as I want.
Brendan Walsh ran this horse around 2 turns, first time on the turf down at Ellis last summer. So, and I think every now and then you have to really take a look at whether they're running these horses on turf or if they want to run these horses a distance of ground.
How many times do you think this horse was entered between its first start in September at Ellis and the finally running 4 months later? I'm going to say the over-under is 3.5. This horse may have gotten rained off a few times, but this horse really got entered a lot. I'm not sure how many times she could have been rained off, simply because we didn't have that many days that were, in fact, rained off. So we'll see. I didn't think she did a ton of running in that race. She kind of clunked along. And I thought that Micro Million was also running away from her at the end, which I didn't really like. I think Micro Million's the likely winner at a very short price in race number 1. We'll see what plays out. Race number 2. Race number 2. There was a significant scratch. Now we'll go back to Candy Promises running second 2 starts ago, or third, excuse me, on December 7th. This was a day that she was on the rail. Most of the riders really kind of stayed off the rail. Now, this horse does drift a little bit, as you'll see in the stretch. I thought this effort was good enough, and with the scratch of the 1A in this race, Professor Snape, Candy Promise is supposed to be clear.
Yeah, man, he's supposed to just put this horse on the lead today. And I mean, you say this to me all the time. Maybe that's not enough. Well, you know what? In here, it could very well be. And I know this horse has tailed off form a little bit from some of those gaudier numbers he ran back in May over at Belmont Park. But
they were with biases. They were with biases. He is completely. Well, it's important to know these horses' 2 big numbers were because. These horses' two big numbers, and if you look at the track trends, you'll see them, are because of track biases, because of inside speed biases.
But even if you knock 6, 7 points off those numbers,
10 off them,
right? They're still. I mean, his last 2 races, if we feel like he's dropping off a little bit, he's still running numbers that are supposed to beat these horses. I mean, I think it's plain and simple.
Rob Atras claims him for 25, and he's running him back for 16. And I get it. I understand. $20,000, but at the end of the day, not a giant win if this horse gets wins and does get claimed. Small win. Very small win.
You know, it's almost a get out of Dodge. But listen, when you're playing the claiming game like Rob is, like the owner Larry Roman is, that's okay. You can do that every now and then. You can try and get out of Dodge.
I understand you can do it. It's still
a claim and a drop.
It's still a claim and a drop.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to result in a profit of a few $1,000s in the pocket of Larry Romans over a 6-week period, assuming he wins.
Correct.
Going to get claimed. I think the question is, are there reasonable alternatives? You have the new face runabout as the alternative. Because everybody knows why Candy Promise is the worst to beat.
And that's what, and you said it, he's a new face. Speaking of tailing off, I mean, Curlin Road, you just don't know which version of Curlin Road shows up.
Stat for him.
Right, and I don't
bad,
really
bad
like
numbers
too fast
for Rudy
to pass.
dropping at Aqueduct.
Yeah, not good.
Bad numbers.
I don't like too fast to pass off the claim. I'll take the fresh face. This horse sprinted last time at Laurel. Going to stretch back out to a distance he's had some success at now. Kendrick's aboard. You know, I think this horse can. I'm sorry.
Hasn't won in a while,
No.
and this is for a trainer who is 0 for 9 shipping into New York over the last 5 years, only 3 hitting the board. Now, to be fair, only 4 of those horses were under 10-1, but none of the horses were able to win. I thought Lucky Ramsey was the other horse taking another drop down and coming off of a 2-month freshening for Eddie Barker. This horse does have some races that are good enough, and if you're looking for an alternative, I thought this horse wasn't completely impossible. This horse did have some legit trouble at the start last time. Speaking of enough with Lucky Ramsey, this horse had never won on the dirt.
I questioned Eddie about the claim. I said, "This is, you know, I think I can do all right with this horse on the dirt."
Supposed to tell him beforehand.
He didn't tell me he was claiming the horse. I would have probably tried to advise against that.
I'm going to say this, and I think Eddie will agree at this point. This was a bad claim.
Well, you know
He's
what?
run 3 times, he's right for 16. He claimed for 32.
Yeah, I don't
It's a bad claim.
But you never know.
I agree with you.
Runs the horse on the turf and
teasing.
pays $50. It'll be a good claim for him. But we still got 2 months.
It's not a good claim.
Yeah, I agree.
All that matters is what's going on now.
Yeah.
It's a horse that has done nothing, gotten next to no checks over a 3.5-month period,
Yeah.
and is now running for half what they claim for him. That's the definition of a bad claim. Whether or not he makes a score with him at some point in the future or not, even if he wins today, it's not a particularly good claim. Race number 3. Race number 3 is a tricky race at 1 1/8 miles. I'll show you Kilmarnock, the horse I have on top here, and you have second last time. I thought this horse ran extremely well. Now, I know the winner came back and didn't run well, but the winner got a less than aggressive ride, in fairness, in a quick-paced race, and wasn't able to control on the front end. And needs to speed. This horse just never stopped running, Kilmarnock. But you're also talking about a horse that's trying to stretch out from 6 furlongs to 1 1/8 miles. Now, I have to imagine they'll at least be aggressive and maybe not be on the lead, but be close. I thought he was the best horse in the race, but I can't argue with anybody that says distance is a major question. What's the Tomlinson? Did you look it up? I know you're on top of those
I wanted to bring up the Tomlinson on the turf dirt horse from earlier, the Ellis Park horse, the Jeremiah horse. Yeah, you know, this horse, again, chasing that loose on the lead future book last time, you almost feel like he ran a winning race, even though he got beat over 2 lengths. He ran really well last time. And I think that you could say this about all of them in here, Andy. I mean, he's trying to go 6 to 9. They all have to answer the 9 furlong question. He, at the very least, has showed a lot of life last time. They ran this horse for 40 twice.
Well, his last race will beat this field.
His last race
but
will
it has
beat this
to
field.
duplicate it going 9 furlongs.
Correct.
So what is it about Super Ego? I have second, but you have the horse.
You know, he was a horse that was kind of like a wise guy tip first time out when he ran into Bourbon Bay, who was like 4 to 5 that day. He was kind of live.
He didn't do $200,000
Yeah.
2-year-old purchase. I don't think he was that live. He was 12 to 1. Was it?
And then he came back last time, and he ran too poorly, I think, to be
Is there a
believed.
story on this horse?
There's no story. There is not a story. But for me, the story is John Service isn't dropping this horse. He's bringing this horse back up here for the third time after, quite frankly, he got his head caved in the first 2 times he came up here. He's going to be a price alternative. I don't know what else to say. He's going to be 6-8 to 1. Right? I don't know. They all have to answer the question.
He could be any price in here, and he should be any price. He's done no running in his races. I guessed with him because, honestly, I'm not thrilled with the others. I get that Zipalong's going to take a lot of money. What has Zipalong done in his races? He might win because there's nobody else in here, but Zipalong was just mildly picking up pieces inconsequentially in a race that was falling apart last time. Gets blinkers. Michelle Nevin has numbers that suggest blinkers are a desperation move for her. First time blinkers on with maidens, she's 2 for 35, 2 for 24 in the dirt, $1.10 ROI. These moves suggest she's being desperate. Now, this is a race desperation could win. Gary Contessa has 2 in here. I don't think Unbridled John is completely impossible. But the horse gets at least a positive rider change, but this horse hasn't done any running either and had a race last time where the pace fell apart, but at least wasn't way, way back.
1, 4, 5, and 7 have already been in for tags. You know, it's just...
Yeah, but this feels like a model.
That's what I mean. It's a weird maiden special weight race because...
Really a maiden special.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a horse in this race that the owners, I mean, I know Super Ego cost a lot of money, but I have a feeling there's no horse in this race that the owners wouldn't be happy to be losing for 40.
I don't disagree.
It's a very tricky race, the distance, and I don't know how quickly the track's going to be playing, but the final time could be very, very, very slow. Race number 4, not a lot going on, obviously, in race number 4. We'll take a look at finishing ahead of Private Beach, a horse I liked last time. Now, you know me, I wanted to give Private Beach another chance, but he's a horse that's at least as good, if not better, on a wet track. And, you know, like...
It's labeled good right now, but with the wind outside, I would not be surprised if we're fast by the time we kick off this this 4th race. I don't disagree. The only thing, I almost made a case for Private Beach. You know, last time you and I talked about it, I felt like she was going to be on the lead. I wonder if they try different tactics today and tell the bug boy, tell Correa to try to get her off the pace today and run at a target. I don't know. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it didn't work last time.
Actually, it doesn't just sound ridiculous. It actually has the advantage of also being ridiculous.
You don't think there's a chance Manny just goes from the rail and figure it out and puts her on the lead?
No.
Especially, well, I do.
I mean, she'll have the lead if the 5 somehow follows the stupidest instructions I've heard in the last 10 years.
But it didn't work last time. Don't you try something different? Because like you said, she's probably a little bit better on a wet track. She got herself a loose lead, and she got run down by this horse. Don't you try and do something different?
You know why? She's not good enough.
And that could very well be the case, but if you're right, don't you have to try something different?
No.
I think you do. I think if horsemen and women take that approach, it's very hard to win. I don't know. Maybe you're right.
You don't think there's any chance that Private Beach wires the field?
Say again?
You don't think there's any chance Private Beach gets in front and wins the race?
Is there a chance? Of course there's a chance. Okay. But I just think after last time that the tactics might be different today.
There was a much stronger speed. There were more speeds in the race last time than there are here. So she can actually get in front by going a slower pace today. So maybe that's going to help her out much more. Why wouldn't you want to try to control? Well, there were legitimate speeds in the last race.
You don't think the rider change and figure it out is going to help too? You think he's going to let her get too far away if she's aggressive out of there?
Who do you think is more aggressive, Declan Carroll overall or Manny Franco? I think Declan was a more aggressive rider. He was a better rider. I'd say he's a more aggressive rider.
Okay.
No, we disagree. You have notions of pace that I don't agree with at all, but doesn't make me always right. Race number 3, Gracetown. We'll take a look at her win 2 back. She can win, but man, this was a hungry field she beat. And then
what do we think happened last time?
Well, she probably didn't like a sloppy track. She probably just didn't react well to it at all. I know she's handled it before, but she ran too badly to be true, and it was a sloppy track.
She caught 4 consecutive wet tracks. That was probably the worst of the 4 she's handled. She just didn't run 2 steps. This race, this race puts her in the winner's circle.
I'm not going to be shocked if she runs back to this race and runs well today. It's Linda.
No. Yeah. They
Linda's barn seems to have cooled down a little bit.
Yeah, and when they run that badly, I think you have to have a little trepidation going to the windows.
Must have bounced. It must have been a big, important bounce.
I couldn't get gutsy and put anybody in between the 2 favorites. I wish I could have.
All right. Race number 5. Race number 5. Good claim, Quantum Computing for $75,000. But she's in for a quarter now. So I guess she's the horse to beat. My problem with her is, and she may win, she's going to be a short price, and she has yet to do a single stitch of running in her races.
Yeah.
Pace held together in her last race. She was the one who was part of the pace that did no running.
Yep.
The winner and the second place horse were the two horses. They sat third and first. So it's not like the pace fell apart.
Listen,
she was brutal.
Listen, I didn't want to do this, but I trust her about as much as I trust the rest of them. She's taking a huge drop, and the barn's going good right now. Maybe these are the ones. Maybe these are the ones you're supposed to try to beat.
Oh, she could easily beat this field.
But man, I couldn't. I mean, I just couldn't pull the trigger on Kemba. And you know, I mean, I guess the.
Did you ever read about quantum computing?
Question mark? No.
Oh, you should. It's interesting. About using.
What did you think I read about
molecules.
quantum computing?
You can. There's lots. I was reading a big article about it recently. It's about using the computers. It's fascinating stuff. It's very hard to wrap your head around, but it's interesting stuff.
I got enough I can't wrap my head around right now.
It's worth trying to expand your brain power. I do want Kemba. I like the fact that Kemba's getting a much more dry track. I thought the race that Kemba ran on September 26th was good enough to probably win here, and the horse would be a much better price.
Isn't that
obviously
isn't that race the exception to the rule, though?
Not really. The first race was against better horses and didn't run that horribly. Improved a little bit second time out in an easier spot. Then they stretched out against maiden specials up at Belmont, and she was chasing outside at a gold rail, and then came back last time and caught a super sloppy track. I just think this horse makes logical sense as the alternative. I don't love her. You know, I know that Sapaquia, the horse in the rail, this is the third foal. The first three were pretty weak. The dam herself was not a bad horse, though. You remember her? Do you remember who trained her?
No.
A friend of ours trained her, Christophe Clement. She actually ran, I think, an 81 Beyer in her debut. She's a nice horse. You don't remember her, Native One? She didn't run that many times, but she was okay. I thought Anula on the outside was an interesting horse for Dave Duggan because she saw a sloppy seal track the only time that David had her. Now, David, for what it's worth, if you get down sort of maiden claimers, first time blinkers or blink. See, I looked at it, but this horse had blinkers before, just putting them back on.
2 starts back.
But could improve a little bit for David, but needs to improve.
Yeah, she's the wild card, right? She's the one that, you know, Jimmy Jerkins had her first time, and then the blinkers went on, and then the trainer changed to David, and then the blinkers went off, and she caught the sloppy track. Now the blinkers went on. She'll be half that price because I can't imagine, unless Linda's horse takes money, and ordinarily you'd say to yourself, well, these horses, why aren't we taking the Linda Rice first?
Because she doesn't have great numbers winning with firsters.
Yeah, exactly. But this is certainly the kind of race where it is ripe for a firster to maybe get the coin first time.
Right,
out.
but you see a lot of these maiden races where it's ripe for a firster, and they
run fifth.
Turn out they stink too.
Yep.
So it's you know, and they don't get bet like they're going
Right,
to.
at least if Anula stinks, she's going to be 8-1, and Sapaquia is going to be 4-1.
Well, 4-1 in Sapaquia means you probably can't win.
Right.
Race number 6, lost a few players, nobody that major besides Malarkey, who you liked more than I did. It's a funny race because this is a bring-back race from the day we canceled last Friday. But last Friday it was Stay Fond and Zecca against basically nobody, Candy Cotton, Candy Cutie. And they were also going a mile. And now they're going 6.5 furlongs. Now this is Stay Fond 2-back when she beats Zecca by a couple of lengths. She obviously freaked in the slop in her last start. She's a horse that requires an enormous amount of aggressive riding by Manny Franco. And now she has to be effective at 6.5 furlongs. That is a bit of a question mark for her.
She has to be effective at 6.5 furlongs. She has to be effective for a new rider in Dylan Davis, and she has to be effective, more importantly, for a new barn that's winless at the meet and just not going good right now. She's not getting her distance.
Dylan better have had his Wheaties this morning.
Yeah, man, you got to stay on top of this on this mare. So
Manny was too exhausted to ride her back.
And listen. They're running against a horse where her numbers are a little hungry, but getting out of there, going 6.5. Keep your distance is probably.
We'll get to her in a minute.
You know?
I do want to talk about Zecca a little bit because I think Zecca improved in her next start. In her next start, she was facing horses she had no right to be in the same racetrack with, and she actually ran okay. And the thing about Zecca is, I think she's really helped by the cutback. I'm not sure where they got in their heads that she's better going longer. I don't think she's better going longer. And while I think Stay Fond is one that's compromised a bit by the cutback to 6.5 furlongs, a bit, you don't really know. I mean, they usually, if a horse can be effective a mile, they can usually be effective at 6.5. But I think Zecca's helped by it. Because you watch Zecca's last race where she ran well. She also flattened out in the last furlong of the race. She's a horse that's better going shorter, and I think this is really going to help her.
I think and you know, she's not that. She obviously struggled to get through her condition claiming races, but she's the kind of horse that she does make a little bit of a run late in the game.
Well, I think she's.
And I think you just feel they felt like going 6.5 and 7. They wanted to stretch her out, but I think you're right. I think she's a little less effective that last eighth of a mile than they thought she was going to be.
And what I think has happened is that she's improved for her new connections, and that's a little bit dressed down by the fact that she's probably going farther than she's best going. So this cutback could really help her.
And she's helped by Aqueduct, right? Because Aqueduct's going to go fast. Aqueduct's going to get in front, and Aqueduct's going to go fast, and you're going to have keep your distance on the chase.
In theory, wouldn't that help Stefan? I don't see keep your distance on the chase. So I see her as stalking in this race, which is something that she's been effective doing in her races. Why do you like keep your distance?
I think she's going to work out the right. I think she's going to have the jump.
No cliches.
I think she's going to have the jump on her biggest challenger in Zecca. And I don't, and I think Stefan, she's going to have the jump on Stefan as well. I'm
but just having the jump doesn't mean you're good enough to win.
Well, I think she's good enough to win when you combine the fact that she's going to have the jump and it's 6.5 furlongs. I think it gives her a decided.
What's your
edge over
excuse
the
for
other
her
two.
last race?
Well, she ran into Gypsy Janie, who came back to win the allowance race. Who they knew about Gypsy Janie. She probably was a little too aggressive last time, dueling on the front end. And
well, the horse she dueled with in the race was eased, for what it's worth.
She's running against better. There was a better field overall, wasn't it? At the distance.
I agree.
Yeah. No. So. I mean, that was it. I thought it was the 2 and the 6.
But she also beat a very weak field when she won 2 back. I think, for me, a lot of it is that A, she was intense tougher. B, she had the wrong trip last time. And C, she's just running for a good barn in Gary Gullo, and I think Gary was just overly ambitious with her. She was actually favored last time, which I didn't understand at the time, as much as I respect Gary. But I think if you look at her races, she's also a little bit dressed down. And I know she appears to be a little better in the turf, even though she has so many more wins on the dirt. I think her races are a little better than they look, and I think her race 2 back, while against weaker, I think she can run better than that. If she runs her race 2 back, I don't know that she's going to beat Zecca. I think her last race is better than it looks. We'll see if Keep Your Distance, who may just be the best horse, and in my opinion, will be favored in this race, and I don't think it'll be really close.
With that.
I was talking about this with
100%.
David the other night, about who should be favored, and both of us were talking about it, and I know he likes Keep Your Distance too, and I just think people are going to recognize that she's probably just the worst to beat. Doesn't mean she's going to win, but she's the worst to beat. Race number 7 was a bring back from last Friday as well, and we'll take a look at Lucky Move. The difference with Lucky Move is she drew a nice outside post last time, and now she's got the inside. I don't think it really affects her because she's a deeper closer. Listen, she's just running well. I mean, she ran against Bolero, who would be odds on in this race. Problem with her, she's only 4 for 24 with 7 seconds, but she is the horse to beat.
Yeah, she's certainly the horse to beat. I will bring up what I'm sure you thought I was going to bring up. Her 2-turn races are much better than her 1-turn races. She has 2 on the card. One of them is not good at all. The other one's a 3rd place finish at Churchill Downs at a starter allowance race. I just think she's.
What about her race at Parks when she didn't run well around 2 turns? Did she think it was 1 turn that day? Did she get confused? Did they blindfold her for the first? Did they blindfold her for the first turn and fool her into thinking it was a? Did they fool her that day?
She has one bad race.
Gibberish.
She has because
gibberish.
you don't agree with it, it's gibberish. She has 1 bad race going 2 turns and 8 good races going 2 turns and 2 of her worst efforts. That race that she ran. Hold on.
You're going to have
to. You said this.
You're going to have to tell.
That bad 2-turn race at Parks is better than the 2 1-turn races on her card. So how is that not come into play?
Because we've had this argument ad infinitum in the show, and pretty much never has it mattered in results.
That's hogwash.
Okay, so going forward, we're going to keep a board on this.
Okay.
As how many times it ends up being specifically relevant. I picked against her. I put her second, but I'm not concerned she's not going to run her race. The problem is the pace may not be that fast. That's a concern. The 2 turns, why does that matter?
Because more often than not,
1 turn is better for closers. 1-turn miles is better for. No, it is.
Well, yeah, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. Now, the 1-turn, 2-turn thing may be part and parcel to the fact that the 2-turn races are ordinarily longer. She doesn't have a good record at a mile.
She's improved since she was running those 1-turn races, Anthony. I'm going to go back in the PPs and do something you didn't do, because this kind of gibberish doesn't really.
Hold on. So what is wrong with the 3 races in the summer at Saratoga?
I'm going to go back
compared to the 3 races
I'm going to
now
go back
for the new
and
barn.
look. I'm going to go back and look at her first 12 races and see if there's some sort of dichotomy in there between 2-turn and 1-turn races
Okay.
to see if there's actual truth to it. Because just using the races on the paper, that's a little dubious to me. I don't agree with this. This is something that you live your life by. I think you absolutely waste your time thinking about this stuff. I don't believe it really matters.
Okay.
I think you use it universally, and I just don't think it's really true.
Okay.
I mean, you talked about it happening with Sir Winston. We had the same argument with Sir Winston. Distance, 1 turn. How did he do?
You liked Sir Winston less than I did.
That's not the point. We had this argument, and you talked to me about distance,
No,
and I
we
talked about honor code,
listen,
and I talked about horses closing
you're
in
right,
1-turn races.
You were 100% right.
And so
you were 100% right.
to
You're
me,
going to compare
it's,
Sir Winston to Lucky Move?
well, it's.
You're going to go look at the first 12 races. You're going to see 6 1-mile races.
If I say I
You're
don't
gonna see
like
4
yellow,
turf
you're going to say, but
races.
what's wrong with purple? You're bringing up non sequiturs. The reality is this argument doesn't really hold water
It does.
over. No, it doesn't.
Okay.
And we're going to continue.
We're
I'm going to
gonna
hammer
go
this
forward from here.
because I've been listening to it now for
We'll
2
go
years,
forward from
and it's
here.
inaccurate
We'll go
time
forward from
after
here.
time after time.
We'll go
and
forward
it
from here.
distracts people that are trying to learn
Okay.
handicapping to think about things
If
that
you
just
don't think
don't
1
matter.
turn and 2 turns matters,
It matters
you're out of
very,
your
very,
mind.
very rarely. No, I'm not out of my mind. I actually look at data. Okay, let's move on. Passable and Great Joanna. Great Joanna did well when got away from Passable. I think you like Passable. Horse does seem
I
to
do.
be improving. I thought this was a much tougher spot.
And, well, yes, for the Great Johanna, even though she's still
Be love and love.
competing, she's starting to tail off form a little bit. I think, anyway, just a little bit. I know that sounds ridiculous to say off a 6-length win, but I do. The other filly, in the meantime, has done nothing but improve in her 3 starts. She went from 6 to 6.5 to the mile. She's consistently getting better. She's not that fast out of there early on, but she gets on top of them early enough. 3/8 pole, 5/16 pole, where she makes herself a player when the real running begins. I think that's very important. I think you have a bunch of fillies and mares in here that her style.
Got
and
it.
if she
We got to
keeps
move it on.
improving, Yeah.
The
I think
3,
she's a
you're
good
not worried
player.
about the 3 cartwheel wiring the field. You don't think that's at all a possibility?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, it's a possibility.
Isn't she better going back to 1 turn?
But, yeah. She
Why
is.
aren't we having that argument about
But
her?
she's
You
just
don't have her in the top
because
4.
she's
And
just-
she was terrible at 2 turns, and she ran
She
well
has
at
not
1
been good.
turn.
She has been, but she's
It's actually
she's
not
stopping
true.
all
It's
the
actually
time.
not true because her 2-turn race at Saratoga is probably the best race she's ever run. I'm kidding you and proving
when they took her off
it's
the- when
only
they took her off
relevant
the
when it
pace that
seems to
day.
matter. No,
Yeah.
no. She's in front, and it wasn't because they took her off the pace. What about Veradia? I like Elegant Gem. I thought Elegant Gem got the absolute perfect prep last time out. Being aggressive in what was a quick pace in a race that turns out to be good with more mischief winning. She's a horse that was running races that were competitive earlier in her career. She got the perfect prep off a layoff, and I'm hoping she improves second time out.
Yeah, she's a major player in here.
I even think Elegant Gem. I got good stats for Jeremiah Englehart, that terrible trainer who's 1 for 33.
Awful.
He's got good numbers, 4 to 8 month layoffs with routers, particularly. Very good numbers, and he's 3 for 5 at Naira doing it with a 720.
Since I
ROI.
already got you riled up, I'll just say I think she's probably better with moisture in the ground.
I'm not riled up. I think that what you do is you continuously look at things that are just not really important, and it
Okay.
takes away from the things that are actually important, and you miss betting on very logical horses. Race number 8, Leaky Cup. We'll go back to Saratoga today in a sloppy track, and I imagine the connections were open. Yesterday's rain continued longer. He's the speed of the speed. Junior just needs to let him go.
Yeah, I guess.
Aren't you a little concerned, though, that his best race is on a sloppy track?
Oh, I don't like him. Yeah, I think his
Oh, you
best
don't
race,
like Leaky
I don't like him today. I think his best race is on that sloppy track. I think he needs to get loose. You know,
Well, he
he's
is
the
loose.
speed of the speed,
Well, he
but
is.
he's going to have to deal with Hushin, isn't he?
No.
You don't think so? Okay. All right.
Not if they want the lead. He's much faster.
Okay.
And I think he's a horse that if they let him air it out, will run his best race. And I think he's way the horse to beat here. We disagree. Who'd you take on top here?
I took Daddy Knows.
Okay.
Took your horse from last time.
How about it?
I think it was a smart ride by Jose Lascano last time to put this horse on the lead. You pegged it. I thought you were nuts when this horse, when you projected this horse to be on the lead.
I know, I look at pace projections.
His comeback was probably better than I thought it was going to be. Because I did not like him last time. And he's another horse.
But you like him today?
I do like him today because I do think Hushin's going to put a chase on Leaky Cup, at least for a portion of the early running in here. And I think he's got to be the first one to inherit these. I think this is going to be a trips kind of race. And also, you have a couple of horses in here. I'm not so certain, the 6 furlongs, I'm not so certain about Castle Casanova coming back off the long break.
How good is he? Being a subpar field
Durkin's Call, who you like, I just don't know about the 3/4. I really don't. I know he ran third.
I completely disagree with that, and I think he's fine. I think his last race showed he's fine. Last time out, he was compromised by a slow pace. He's going to get more pace today just by the nature of Leaky Cup being faster. So to me, I want Leaky Cup, who's the best speed, and I want the best closer, that's Durkin's Call. And I think they complement each other as betters, and they're the two I'm going to use. I don't think Diano's is impossible. He could take another step forward. Linda has good numbers. Their horses, they're in good form. I don't disagree. Castle Casanova's horse they always liked from the start. Maybe at some point he'll finally start to show the promise that they had expected from, but he's going to have a lot better than he did off the layoff when he beat Nueva York last time. Horses he beat last time, they be long shots in this race. They're just not good enough.
What about Casmania?
Not impossible. Not impossible. I thought he ran fine last time, but I also don't think that. I think that race last time fell apart late. Le General was the one who ran a great race that day, and any horse that was closing late was benefiting from the wicked pace that was set in the speed duel that Le General was in. And I think that race is very dressed up in the last 16th of a mile.
Yeah, you could be right there. He's just faced. Overall, he's faced some real tough company.
I don't disagree. I thought
at a price, he was a nice little alternative.
I don't disagree. I don't know how big a price is going to be, but I think his last race dresses him up. Now, you could make an argument, and he may not love a wet track, though he's run 2 figures that are decent enough, but he's run well enough on dry tracks. He's not impossible. I picked him 5th. I just preferred other horses because last time he's dressed up off his last performance where he had dynamics very much in his favor. We disagree about Leaky Cup. We'll see how things play out. Race number 8. We closed it out with just, to me, what was an inscrutable race. We'll look at Little Mazzy last time, finishing 3rd, beaten ahead. I don't know. I guess he's the horse to beat. I didn't want to put him on top, Andy.
I didn't either. I put him 2nd. I couldn't put the horse on top because you kind of feel like of the ones in here, he's supposed to win this race, right?
I agree. I agree with you. I agree.
He just got it. You got to get it done.
Either you take an idiotic horse like I did out of the race, and I have my reasons for liking this horse, or you go in a different direction. And I think you went to Vitesse, but
I did.
I got Vitesse 2nd, but it's hard to be confident in this horse.
I don't have any confidence either. I'm just we kind of have to make a pick, and I just wanted the horse. It's the kitchen sink. It's the drop, the surface switch, the blinkers. Jose Lezcano's going to climb aboard.
It's not a good side to see Michelle Nevin running first time out in the turf. As far as dirt, now obviously it's not going to take her Herculean effort to win this race.
This is a 383 Tomlinson for this distance, Andy. It's a very big Tomlinson number for this horse.
I wonder where the Tomlinson was first time out, 6 runs in the turf. Well, interestingly enough, I think this is the first foal from a horse that's a turf horse, but the second generation includes Funny Moon, who won that Coaching of American Oaks with that crazy wide trip for Christophe Clement. So she was more of a dirt horse. So there is dirt in the pedigree as well as distance, and I do love Liam's Map as a sire in general. We'll see. We'll see with this horse. I had a dream. Is either a clever. I never picked this horse.
No, I know. Me and David liked this horse last time.
I had a dream is either a clever pick on my part, or more likely another bad pick on my part. But I thought it was very interesting that Junior is taking this mount. It feels like they really asked Junior to ride this horse. And I don't want to be hard on Joey Martinez, but this horse got a little away from him in the early running of that race.
Yeah.
Now, he also was absolutely brutal after that, and he may just stink, and I'm not going to blame that on Joey.
Of course not.
But maybe with a better rider, a rider, and I think Junior's a very talented rider, maybe he can settle a little bit earlier and not get discouraged. It's a guess on my part. I am not going to sit here and tell you this is a particularly clever opinion. But I just was looking for somebody else, and I can at least make a bit of an excuse, because I can't make one for Bay Burner. I mean, Bay Burner was awful in that race.
Yeah.
At least this horse got rank and kind of was in trouble a little bit and gets the rider change. It's a guess. I'm not going to sit here and do a lot of defending because it's.
Horse going to be 10 to 1.
You've got Vitesse and I've got Vitesse 2nd, and sitting here defending Vitesse is a little ridiculous.
I'm going to use the horse on a backup ticket, no question about it.
All right. Head on over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, we will match up a $200 deposit bonus. The promo code is Anthony Stabile.
That's me.
Oh, we got it. We got it right this time. 20% winners bonus on the early pick 4 through the app only. So play that pick 4 races 2 through 5 on the app, and also want people to sign up for the Gotham Betting Challenge. We'll get that slate up a little bit later, but I do want people to check it out. It's Gotham Day, and you can sign up until the 5th. It's a $500 buy-in.
That'll be
half and
Thursday.
half.
That's about right.
Yeah, half and half.
Play
so
on,
it's your
can you play
license.
on Naira Bets?
I would assume. I think we can play all of them now.
All
on
of them
Naira
now,
Bets.
right?
But check it out. Go to Naira.com, probably /challenge or something, but check it out. There'll be something in Naira.